2010 Subaru Forester with the, what is this, the 2.4 non-turbo engine. And we're getting a couple of oxygen sensor codes. And we're going to show you how to remove the oxygen sensors on this. And people always complain that the Subarus are hard to work on, and some of them are, especially the turbo ones, but some of them are also pretty easy to work on. And that's the case with this one. I mean, look at this. We've got the AC compressor right up top and front. We've got the alternator right up top and front. We've got the water pump right up top and front. All kinds of things here that are pretty easy to get to. Spark plugs on this, despite having a reputation of being difficult, are not hard at all. This is one of the easier ones to do. We're going to do a video about that for you too, but not today. Today we're going to show you how to do the oxygen sensors. And they're both right down here on the front passenger side corner of the engine. The only thing we have to take off before we get to them is this intake panel right here. And it's held on by a couple of push clips. You can see one of them is already missing. It must have broke or got lost at one point. Just pop that off the push clip, because this little gap in this here happens to be broke. Otherwise you'd have to pry the pop clip off. Lift it up on an angle and pull it toward you, and they'll slide out of the air cleaner. Hang on. Wiggle it a little. There it goes. It slides right out. That opens up the whole front of the engine compartment here, and both oxygen sensors are right here. The orange cord goes to the upstream sensor, and it's right down there by that shiny stainless steel band, and the downstream sensor on there inside the wheel well. They're both pretty easy to get to. The connector clips for them are right here on top. So first thing we're going to do is show you what tool we need. Not a lot of tools required. We're going to have a socket wrench handle with a long extension and a special tool to remove the oxygen sensors. There's two different styles. I'll show you the one I have and what we're going to do to take it off. And really, if you don't have any trouble getting them out, you can do this job in 15-20 minutes for each one, if that. It's pretty straightforward, and you don't need to be afraid of having to do this. If you have an oxygen sensor code showing up, or either the upstream one down there or the downstream one back here, you can do this yourself and save a ton of money. Let's get started. We used the PB blaster and hit them both with a quick shot. I used this offset crowfoot type oxygen sensor socket to get that off. Honestly, a straight up deep set oxygen sensor socket might have done the job a little bit better. It's hard to say with the angles and that down in there, but it wasn't too bad. The only bad part so far has been those stupid hose clamps that someone's got clamped around everything. Connector for this one, the gray connector. It has that little lock tab right on top there. That's what holds it in place. And the release mechanism is on the release mechanism is on the socket side of it here. It's this little tab in the back. It's a gray tab, and you gotta go way to the back of it and push down hard while you're pulling out from the front. And you know, I don't usually add grease to these, but it wouldn't hurt to add a little bit of grease to these. But you line it up. Let's see, where's that? Right here. And get it lined up and push in until you hear it click. And I just heard and felt it click. And to release it, you would push down on that tab right here in the back and pull out. All right, for the one in front, let's see if we can get down there. Let's see. There you see how I've got the crowfoot tool offset. And I've got a 3/8 to 1/2 inch reducer plugged into the socket hole. As I did, I took like an 18-inch extension. And I brought it through here, right up through here. I put the 24-inch breaker bar on it, and it popped right off. Now it's loose, and it should be able to come out hand tight now. Same thing with this one. I put the crowfoot wrench on, facing toward the front of the car, and since it's on a little angle, I was able to put my long extension rod right down here in front of the ABS pump, between that and the air intake hose. And a nice straight shot down there with the breaker bar again, gave it a little twist, and it came right off. Once we ratcheted around a few times, it came off with no problem. And like I say, for the back one, the socket type oxygen sensor adapter would have worked quicker than the crowfoot one. But for the front, the crowfoot one was pretty much the only option, the way things are laid out down there. Unless you had a really good wobble extension, but even then I'm doubtful it would work. So that's why you need so many different kinds of tools when you're doing this. One tool for each thing. But I say a lot of times you can make other tools work, it's just not as fast. Those clamps I told you about that were holding it to the heat shield either wore out or melted through. It's hard to tell, but it looks frayed, so I'm guessing it wore out. Once the outer protective cover was breached, we can look down here at the white wire, and you can see that that actually wore through too and was shorting out to the ground of the engine. Look at that. The wire's right there. The center part of the wire is right there. I bought. This is a pretty cool tool. This was from Harbor Freight of all places. It's a double flex ratchet handle, 3/8 drive. The head flexes like a normal flex head ratchet would, but the shaft itself flexes too. Gives you all kinds of extra availability and flexibility to use this tool in different places where you might not have thought you could. And this was pretty cheap too, I think. I recommend this wrench. I know it's Harbor Freight, and it's not even their top of the line Harbor Freight, it's the Pittsburgh Forge line, but this is a very handy tool to have, and I highly recommend this. So we're going to reach down there with this now, and we're going to tighten that crowfoot wrench, and everything's going to be great. We've snugged that down nice and tight, and this one goes on with the clip mechanism facing to the left. Same deal, only this one doesn't release from the back side. This one releases from the front side. You clip it into place, the clip action takes place right here on this piece, and then to release it, you push, just like the other one, you push down on the end to lift it up over the little tab. So we're going to put it on there. We're going to line it up just right, and we're going to push it in until it snaps. There we go. We had to actually squeeze the tab to get it to slide over the hump into place. We squeeze that little tab there while we're pushing, and it locked right into place. The other little trick I had to do to get that off, it was binding on there when I tried to take it off. There's a piece of frame here that the whole switch assembly, or the connection assembly, fits into. That was pressed really tight up against the end of the wire connector here. So I took a screwdriver and just pried that out a little bit so it wasn't quite so tight on there. And now we're good to go.
Thanks for watching. Leave any questions in the comments, and I'll be happy to help out. I'll put some links in the description for the parts and tools that were used in this repair job.